So I saw this pop up on my feed on X and I was like, there's no way that's true. I thought somebody was trolling me. I thought somebody was joking. And then I pulled it up on Steam and it turns out it's true. I don't know why nobody else is bringing this up or talking about it because it seems insane to me. And I need people to like talk me off the cliff or explain it to me like I'm 5. Elden Ring Nightreign. Okay, we've talked about it, whether you think it looks amazing or like a cheap cash grab, whatever. But there has been a thing in the industry where people hold publishers' feet to the fire when they start monetizing stuff excessively, especially gameplay affecting stuff, especially in games that are multiplayer and online. And if they start to do that in a pretty slimy, scummy way, people typically bring it up and address it and make a big hullabaloo about it. Remember Dragon's Dogma? It was a single player game and they were selling those port crystals and people were losing their minds over it because it was like a $3 port crystal or $2 port crystal that was that Capcom made them sell, or was it Bandai Namco? Whichever one. But with Elden Ring Nightreign, there's something very interesting labeled in the Deluxe edition that I want to point out. If we scroll down. So bonus gestures, who cares? For pre-ordering, you get a bonus gesture, who cares? They can also obtain this later in the game. Cool, whatever. I want to point out the Deluxe edition. Zoom, enhance. Deluxe edition includes the game, okay. Additional DLC, okay, like a season pass, whatever. Additional playable characters and bosses. What? They're selling additional playable characters and additional bosses. If you buy the Deluxe edition, according to this, you get more bosses that you can fight and additional playable characters. What? Why is this not being brought up? Here's the thing. As I'm trying to like break it down, they do have additional DLC labeled as a bullet point, and then they have this lined as like a line. And this is what I think it is, but I think they could clarify. I think this is supposed to be indented as a sub point for additional DLC, meaning that you get the additional playable characters included for free and the additional bosses for free, or not in free, but like included in your purchase, right? Kind of like as a season pass. It's still, to me, is signaling that they're planning on charging for playable characters and they're planning on charging for additional bosses. Charging for additional characters with like different builds. Okay, like I understand it's kind of like sort of a live service game. Like they got to monetize it somehow and that's how they're going to do it. But selling additional bosses and boss fights as like a different maybe season or different map or something, like that just feels bad, man. That feels really bad. So I think that that's what this is. I don't think, knock on wood, that they mean that like day one, you're getting 12 playable characters instead of the 8 that they've announced. And then you also will get more bosses spawning than regular players. I don't think that's what they're saying. What I think they're saying, based on this being a line and not a dot, enhance, 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 enhance. I think what that line means is that it's going to basically be like the seasonal updates or whatever expansion, whatever they end up calling them, that introduce a new night cycle or a new day-night final boss cycle. And there will be some that will be themed differently. So maybe there's like a fall one that's Halloween themed and everything's on fire and everything's kind of red. And in order to play that, you have to pay for the expansion that includes that. I still don't really like that because I don't like it when games segment their player bases based on how much money they have. I just don't like that personally. I don't like it in single player games, certainly. And I don't like it in live service games either. I think it's sucky to separate your player bases based on their income. It's why I like how at least like Overwatch changed and stopped charging $20 for new heroes and started including them all for everybody so everybody could play them. And I like how, that approach has been taken with some other live service style games, like Marvel Rivals, for example. They don't force you to pay $40 to get the 2 new characters. They're like, no, just play it. And then if you enjoy it, you'll probably spend money elsewhere. I think that's good. It equalizes everything for everybody. I don't like it when they separate players based on income. Like gaming, I feel, should be an escape from the headaches of real world problems and that. And if you save the money to buy the game up front, I feel like you should be treated just the same as everybody else. Maybe that's just me, but I still think it's interesting that it's not really been brought up or clarified. Maybe it's just worded clunkily, but seeing something separated out based on how much money you spend specifically with new playable characters and bosses, implies they're going to be charging for new characters and bosses later. Characters, I get it. It's not PvP or anything, so it's not that crucial. But charging also for separate bosses, again, does that just mean that they're going to be new bosses you fight within the roguelite cycle? Or does that mean that it's going to be an entirely new area or zone? Who can say? But either way, whatever it is, I personally don't like that style of monetization. I'd rather they treat all players equally. That's my stance.